Awful quiet in the room. All right, it is 6 p.m. This time we'll call our meeting to order. Please stand and remain standing after the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Alexander, if you don't mind giving our invocation.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day, Lord, this opportunity to come and discuss the town's business tonight. Father, I pray that as we gather here and we meet, Lord, that you just be with us, that your presence will fill this place. And Father, I pray that everything that is said and done here tonight would be pleasing in your sight and in accordance with your will. Thank you, Father, for each person that's here, for the good crowd that we have here tonight. Lord, just be with us as we depart and watch over us and protect us. Thank you so much for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Normally I lead the pledge, but since we got so many fine cadets, can I get one volunteer to step up right here in front of me and lead us in our pledge? Come on up, please. State your name, please.
Heidi Rathbone.
Heidi
Heidi Rathbone.
Rathbone. And what rank are you, Heidi?
Senior.
Senior? Do you have any Air Force rank? Okay. All right. We'll go on your command.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Ms. Heidi. And by the way, for anybody who would like to lead us in the pledge of our council meetings, feel free to come, and we'd love for you to do that. All right, members of council, y'all have your minutes from October the 2nd. Once you've had time to review that, please let me know, and I'll entertain a motion to adopt them.
Other than the misspelling of Council Lady Alston's last name in number 13, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander,
A second.
second by Council Lady Alston. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will call the question. All in favor? And we have none opposed. Public comment.
Ms. Barnett.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor and Council, if I may, I would like to make to amend, not the agenda, but to amend the allotted time of 3 minutes to allow Ms. Barnett an additional 7 minutes, making it a total of 10 minutes, because the information that she's going to be bringing with, that she brought with her tonight, will be presenting, will help us in our bat problem in the park. So I make that in the form of a motion to amend that allotted 3 minutes to add 7 minutes to make it 10 minutes total.
To suspend our rules. All right, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman
Second.
Higgins, second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in question? All in favor? All right, you got it. You got 10 minutes total.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
From Barnett, I live in Councilman Higgins' district over here on Minor Street. I wanted to say thank you, first of all. I'm really excited that we have bat houses in the middle of Spring Park now. I've been a big advocate for years. Bats are incredibly critical to our ecosystem. They do wonders for an agricultural society and the rural areas like we have here in Williamston. So thank you for putting them up and for encouraging the big bat creek population to rise. A couple of facts I wanted to give just about bats in general, if people don't know much about them, but they are incredibly important for agriculture. Farmers save around $23 billion a year in agricultural losses from having a good bat population. A lot of that's due to the elimination of the need for a lot of pesticides. They also help with just the typical nighttime bugs, right? One bat can eat about 1,000 mosquitoes per hour. So if you have a decent bat population, you don't have to treat your fields, your yard, your backyard, your garden for mosquitoes or other bugs. I know that the more bats we have and the more we have our camp in the park each summer, we probably won't have to be carrying around so many cans of bug spray. 70% of all tropical fruits that are eaten by humans rely on bats for pollination and seed dispersal. In fact, if it weren't for bats, we would not have tequila. And we also would have a much lower and very different version of other alcoholic spirits because of the pollination that they provide to the agave plant, which goes on to produce mezcal, which goes on to produce a lot of the recipes that you find in spirits. Bats are also much better pollinators than birds and bees. Most people don't know that, but it's probably because we don't see them because they do all their work at night, but they actually have a much better role to play there. And having bats around does a lot of wonderful things for backyard gardens because a lot of the bugs are actually repelled by the sound of bats' echolocation. So even during the day when you're roosting, those bugs hear that and they're like, I'm going to find somewhere else to hang out today. So I walked around the park after I heard about the bat houses going up, and I think I found 5 or 6. They're made by a company called Outer Trails, which I hadn't heard of before, but it looks like they've got a pretty good composition to how they've made the bats. So I was glad to see that. They're all dual chambered, I believe. So each house probably will easily hold about 50 bats in comparison to my bat house, which I got last year, and how they painted it. This is a dual chamber, and this bat house will hold 300 to 350 bats. Dual chamber because it's got 2 different little doohickeys in there. Thank you, so if we have 5 or 6, that's quite a few bats that can be held in those houses. All of the houses are painted black, and they're mounted somewhere, I'm guessing, around 10 to 12 feet off the ground. I didn't have a ladder, so I'm just like judging by how tall I am. And they're pretty centrally located around the main shelter and the playground area in the park. And so I wanted to come up with a few points to give to the council in terms of how to manage the houses going forward to hopefully have the best success for bats moving in and staying in and telling their friends and coming back the next year. One thing to consider is color of the bat house matters a lot because this directly impacts the temperature inside the bat house. Bats are really finicky about their temperature. And where we are located, we're in a bat zone 2, which is based on sort of your growing zone and also the average temperatures in July. So I took the temperature for the past 5 years in Williamston, and we're averaging about 88 to 89 degrees in July. So that puts us squarely into like a zone 2 for bats. I know there's too many zones to keep up with. So ideally, the color of the bat house for a zone 2 should be a dark medium color, but maybe not black. Black houses can work, depending on where they're placed. That's another consideration in terms of the location. So a couple of things to factor in to have the most success with those. Location is also important for a bunch of reasons, but I'm going to give you like 4 quick ones. The height of the bat house ideally is 15 to 20 feet high. So if we could consider other locations where we can put them a little higher, that might give us a better chance of success. Mounting them to face a southern direction, so south, southeast, southwest, all of those work. The intent is to let them get at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight. And so that location matters in the sense that if they are on a tree or they are on the side of a building, facing the right direction, getting the right light without any shade, leaves, or other things obstructing that sunlight. Keeping them away from artificial light sources, because I think it does mess with bats a little bit in dusk when it's time to come out. Although it does give them great food, like the second they walk out the door, they've got bugs. But and then also keeping bat houses away from heavily trafficked areas. And I think that's one area where the bat house locations now could be improved a little bit. We've got them all centralized in the busiest part of the park, but there are some other options that we could consider. Maybe putting one over near the Veterans Park or putting one over on the trail system behind the fire station, something like that. There's definitely options if that's something that the town wanted to do. And then finally, not to mount them on trees. Trees are like the least preferred place for a couple of reasons. The branches and leaves tend to block out a lot of the sun, but 2, predators perch on those branches. So owls and hawks are predators to bats, and they know where bats live, they hear them, and they just wait. And so bats really need a clear entry and exit into the bat house from the bottom, so they fly in, lay here, and then crawl up. And so the second or 2 it takes them to get inside or come out, owls and hawks just wait. So having that clear entry and exit would be a benefit. If trees are the only option, there are actually some pretty good trees in the park that we could relocate them to. There's some really tall ones that are old, where the canopies are pretty high up. And I think it would give the right distance to mount a house on the tree, but still have that clearance that bats want. Changing the color of a couple of the houses might be something that we could consider, maybe not all of them, because we may not have the best location. So if we change the color on 2 or 3 of them to a little bit of a lighter color, like a brown something, and then put those in direct sunlight, no shade, leave a couple of them black, and put those maybe in our less desirable or less ideal locations. Not desirable, but less ideal. And if we can mount them a little bit higher, I think it would go a long way towards having a successful bat colony. So I'll stop there. I know that's probably not 10 minutes, but I did want to leave an opportunity to ask any questions if anyone had one.
Sounds like you've done your research.
I've given talks on bats for years. I'm a huge advocate.
You should have been the first person we called. We give you a little bit of history, and for those in our audience, the main shelter, which is over by the playgrounds, commonly used for birthday parties. We call it the birthday party shelter because pretty much everybody has a birthday, or if you live in Williamston, you've had at least a birthday party there at that shelter, was completely overrun by bats, and it caused some really unsanitary conditions. It smelled really bad, and the tables would have obviously bat excrement all over it. So I did a little bit of research and was able to find those bat houses on Amazon. I don't have a budget for bat houses, but we was able to get them fairly inexpensively. I didn't go with the really cheap ones, but I went with kind of a mid-grade, and did a little bit of research like you were talking about. Unfortunately, we did not have a bucket truck at the time, so it was the ladder was the only way I had to get them. And the idea was to put those bat houses around the general area of that area where there's a bat problem. Secondly, we went through and took, we liked the bats, but we didn't like them in the location they were at. They had to leave. So we took some peppermint oil and sprayed around there, and we do that. We have a regiment. We do that at least twice a week now to try to encourage the bats. And I'm happy to report that there's some evidence that the bats are using the bat houses now, which is really neat. So, but anyhow, we definitely welcome any more input, and feel free to reach out to me even after the council meeting. At other times, I see you out and about, and you guys are great community members, you and your husband both, and we enjoy learning a little bit more. There's always some things we can learn and do better.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
But we're making an effort. So
yeah, absolutely. Step 1 was great.
You're on the bat committee from now on.
That's right. Outstanding. All right. Do we have Michelle Chapman? Is she here?
Well, wait a minute, I have another public comment.
Okay, sorry.
Sherry Cole.
Ms. Cole, the microphone is you. Will you do me a favor and make sure that microphone's on? I think that it may be, but just, okay. I just want to make sure our online audience can hear as well.
No.
I know you've got great things to say, and so we got to make sure that you're recording.
I'm trying to be good.
This is about the parade, as y'all know, we have one every year, it comes around. I'm representing Kathy. This is what we give out to
You did.
people.
Thank you.
It has a list on the front, that they can keep it, just has, what the council mayor has talked about in the past, what they want done, not done. We only have one Santa. We don't let people in that has another Santa on there. Or you can wear a Santa hat, you can wear a Santa shirt, just don't have a Santa. We, a lot of Indian little children and have been questioned while there's 500 Santas in this. But I do want to thank the council, mayor, fire department, police department, town employees. Couldn't do it without everybody's support. And I have never asked for anything that somebody hasn't said, well, we'll find a way to do it. David, the Journal, always very helpful. And we're having it again this year. It's Saturday, December 2nd at 1 o'clock. If y'all want to come be part of it, just make sure you don't throw candy, you can toss it. Walk along, hand it out. But we've had some issues in the past with little kids wanting to rear back and knock their friend who's standing on the side out. And sometimes that causes eye issues when such stick goes in. Is there any questions?
I'm happy to report that we have the mother load of candy this year. We literally picked up an entire truckload of candy, so there should be plenty of candy this year. Do me a favor, if you don't mind, get with Gracie Harvell at Town Hall some point in time this week. And I know it saves y'all some time if people pre-fill these forms out and submit them, if she can put that on our social media page too.
Okay, she should have a copy,
Okay.
but I will send her another one.
Oh,
And
just touch base with her and say, hey, will you mind putting that on the town's webpage too? That'll save y'all some time. Hopefully people will.
yeah, if everybody would pre-register, that'd be really great. We do take registration the day of, it just means you have to fill out the form, and a lot of people don't want to stand in line to do that. But we've been handing these out since September, so they've had plenty of opportunity. We've already got 27 entry forms back for this year, and if everybody could just say a big prayer that we have weather like we had today for the parade. It can be a little bit colder, but we like the sunshine, but before we've had snow, and then it's turned into a monsoon, and then tornado, and, just a typical Saturday in Williamston in December.
We also have a couple bands in ROTC this year, am I correct?
Um,
I think we got a couple high school bands, at least one.
I have only been notified by one, well, I haven't been notified by any bands,
Okay.
but I was told that one band is coming in the ROTC.
Fantastic.
But the time did change on that. We had to change.
To
bump
1
our
o'clock.
time up. So we have sent the email back out to both bands who said they would come to see if they could indeed come at 1 instead of 3. Because
Fantastic.
we'd have to move our time.
Okay.
And I have not gotten anything from the band.
We look forward to another wonderful, successful parade. Thank you very much for all your work, Ms. Cole.
You are quite welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle, do we have any other public comment? Outstanding. Michelle Chapman, if you will, come to the microphone, state your name, and your address, please, or location, where you from?
Michelle Chapman, and I'm from here in Williamston.
Okay.
First, I want to thank you. This is my first town hall meeting, so thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I did learn. I have 3 minutes, so I'll talk quickly. I want to thank the town also for the town improvements. I've been a resident in Williamston for 17-plus years. I actually live in front of Steve and Sandra, so
Okay.
built my house before they did, but that's where I'm at. I've been here a while. My kids went to school here. My grandbabies are in school in Williamston, so I'm familiar with Williamston and call it home. Lived here the longest of any place in my life. I'm here tonight because I opened a business in Williamston. It's not within the town proper. I actually reached out to Rocky on Facebook when I first initially looked for a business location. Nothing was really available. But I had the old Gary McAllister office that he originally built for his construction up there by the Tanning Bed and Haircutting Place is where my office is located. I am a property management company for homeowners associations, which are nonprofit associations, non-for-profit businesses. I'm actually already signed and contracted with Palmetto Point, which is located right behind here. So that was great. They Googled me and found me, and I'm the only one in Williamston, so they found me. So I contracted with that. But my purpose for being here this evening is to request that the council consider waiving the cost for homeowners associations. I have a few that are close in the vicinity here that I would like to be able to have their annual meetings here. The cost is extremely high for a nonprofit organization to use the facilities. So I'd like to ask the council to either consider reducing it or waiving the fees. And I went through the rules, and according to section 2.9 of the rental agreement, the HOA, we can provide insurance certificate. We don't have any issues having that covered here. I was told when I called and talked about the meetings that we wouldn't actually need police officers because of the type of meeting it is. I have no idea how many people are in attendance, so I wouldn't know. But HOA meetings rarely get out of hand. In 13 years, I've only had to have an officer one time at a meeting. I'm pretty tough. I can control them. But section 2.97 talks about the waiver of fees for nonprofits and that the council can do that. I understand we're not in the city limits or town limits proper, but my business is here. I've been here, and I talk about Williamston all the time and the functions that happen. Should the council agree to see fit, I would be willing to even promote Williamston at my meetings by saying thank you, of course, to Williamston for allowing us to use the facility at no charge and promote things, talk about the fact that, things that are going on within the town to kind of draw business in. Because because a lot of people don't know. I may only be talking 3 or 4 meetings a year. You could even limit the HOA itself to 1 or 2 meetings and set a cap at it. But I would just like you to consider the fact that they are nonprofits. Everything is sky high. If you were in Greenville County, I could use a library. I checked with the libraries here. The rooms are too small. I can't use them. Greenville also has large fire departments with meeting rooms that we can use at no cost. Unfortunately, Anderson County doesn't have anything like that to offer. I'm not talking about bringing every HOA in here because the majority are in Greenville. But I have maybe 2 or 3 in mind right now, so it wouldn't be a huge thing, but just something I would like to have you consider, because they are nonprofits.
Can I ask her a couple questions? I know we don't typically do that, but.
Let me give a quick intro right quick on into kind of how we got to where we're at now.
Okay.
And then you can take over from there.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So, by the way, thank you for coming. My mother and my family adore you. I didn't put 2 and 2 together who you are. They live outside in the county as well. Ms. Chapman reached out to me, and the way our ordinance reads is, for good cause, the mayor can waive a portion or all of the fees associated with room rental. And you know, if I have somebody comes here, the way I measure that is, this facility is fully funded solely by Williamston residents. That means the people who live and pay taxes in Williamston, to keep the lights on, to keep toilet paper in, the whole 9 yards. I saw, based on my initial just brief conversation, how that would benefit our residents directly, whether it was, you know, there'll be use of toilet paper, you know, paper towels to wash your hands. That's with any facility. So I told her, I said, I'm not comfortable with waiving that, but that will be up to council to do that. So that's how we are where we're at now, and she's here obviously to request either a reduction of fees or a complete waiver of fees for her activities that she will have from time to time. All right, go ahead, Chris, sorry.
I was just going to ask, you said 3 to 4 meetings per year.
That's my guesstimate. Right now, I was looking at one meeting for Charlotte Creek. They're not too far from here. They have 200 homes approximately. And if I had one person from each home show up, which is very rare, you're lucky to get 50% or even 25% at most of these. So I need a place that's big enough to just have chairs. I don't need tables, but I can stand in front of them. I can provide my own mic, all of that. I just need a room to meet with them. Right now, that's my only one other than one Palmetto Point, but they're within the limit, so, right? So they would qualify for nonprofit free. But as I'm growing as a company and signing more contracts with different HOAs, if I had others in Williamston or real close, I would like to be able to use it. And the only reason I'm asking is because I'm part of Williamston. If I didn't live in Williamston or didn't have my company within a Williamston address, I wouldn't ask.
And I also would like to give you another option in the event, even if we waive the fees here, and there's a conflict with scheduling. We would love to host you at Caroline Community Center here in Williamston, right on School Street, right off of Hamilton. And I will get you that information as soon as we're adjourned.
That would be
Yes, ma'am.
May I say one more thing?
Please,
This is a
absolutely.
recommendation. This is something I noticed looking at your information packet, even if you didn't do it for my purpose. I don't know, you may already have a map of the building, but my thought was, even if this is granted or we still rent the building, if you have something that we can put out there to our people, this is the entrance that we can put with our meeting notices, or when people have parties or functions, that's a part of this application, that would be great, because then we could show it to whoever we invite, whether it's a big event or a meeting or something like that, where we have the directional and show where parking is, things like that might be helpful. Just something I noticed.
Michelle, can you tell me what the rate is currently for the auditorium?
500.
Okay. What about banquet rooms? Would the banquet rooms be, have you looked at the facility?
They would.
Yes, sir. I used to actually use the rooms for Hemlock Homeowners Association.
Okay.
I've used it 3 or 4 times for other HOA meetings in the past.
So, members of council, y'all have heard what's being proposed by Ms. Chapman. Obviously, it would be contingent on whatever date that, if we have paying customers, obviously they would get the first chance. You have to find a date where it's not, and I would assume you mostly during the week.
Weeknights, I've already reserved one date, not even knowing, and they
Okay.
held off taking any money from me just because they knew I was
Right.
coming this
So,
evening.
so you'd have to get with our staff here to coordinate. You could go one of two ways. Either members of council here can do a complete reduction of fees. Obviously, I don't recommend that, but y'all can overrule me. Or you could do a reduction of fees for this particular organization. Are you a nonprofit? Your business itself a nonprofit?
No, sir.
Okay.
But everything I represent
I
is.
understand.
And I don't pay for it. The associations pay for
What
that.
do you think would be a reasonable fee that the HOAs could pay for the auditorium usage?
I would ask for $150.
Okay. Y'all heard what's being proposed. At this time, this is an action item. It's on the agenda. It was on our public meeting notice. So I can entertain any motions that council may have.
Me personally, I'm not for it. I run a nonprofit as well, but I have a budget that I can use to fund meetings and everything else throughout the year. I just couldn't, with the liability issues, I just couldn't say yes to it.
That's one thing that I was not aware of. You guys do have an insurance policy that you guys could submit to us that would cover at this location. So that does take away some of my concern, the liability, at least a little bit. But you know as well as I do, somebody falls, twists their ankle, lawsuit's gonna go to your insurance company, our insurance company, it's gonna cost us money to defend a frivolous lawsuit no matter what.
I've done these 13 years, never had an incident. I've used churches, but COVID, most churches shut their doors. So, a lot of facilities that we
Yeah.
just can't do them anymore.
All right, we need to move along. So any other council member want to have any discussion, or I'll entertain any motions that you may have.
When is your first meeting plan scheduled for?
I believe we scheduled it for January, but legally I have to give a 30-day meeting notice.
When is our,
December.
our December meeting is gonna be on December the 4th. Would that give you enough time to have a 30-day notice if we, made the decision that night?
Can I follow up with Michelle on that? I didn't bring my meeting date with me, sorry.
Well, I guess we need to know whether we take action tonight or not. That's kind of the thing. Do we have some time to think about it and process it, or do we need to make a decision tonight?
I think you have time. I want to say it was like the second week of January, so that pushes us, but yes, sir.
Okay.
And if not, I can push the date back to give, I can tell my board that we're pushing it back.
I'm just, from my perspective, I would not be opposed to a reduction in fees. But there's always some, I don't care if it's the heat and air, the lighting, there's always some cost involved that I think that our citizens should be repaid in some way, shape, form, or fashion, so.
I agree. That's fine.
Mayor, I would like to go back and review the most updated rules and ordinances for renting the auditorium. I know several years ago, they were changed a couple of times, and I'm not familiar off the top of my head with them. And also, I'd like to look into, speak to Mr. Haygood or the appropriate parties at the Caroline Center and see if that may be an option as well. Because my understanding, that's a building it's owned by the town, but it's used by the Williamston Action Community Club.
No.
It's owned by the WACC.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's owned by the WACC. I apologize. But that's something that may be available, as Councilman Haygood has said. So I'd move that I would move that we postpone this to the December meeting.
Okay. Have a motion on the floor that we table till December, bringing this back up. Have a second by Council Lady Austin. Lee made the motion, Council Lady Austin seconded. Any further discussion? Here none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's tabled unanimously. Thank you very
Mr. Chairman,
much.
thank you.
We'll be in touch. Roberta Hamby, the floor is yours. I know you got quite a bit to go over.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it quick. Thanks for allowing me to be here, Mayor and Council.
before we get started with any of our projects that we've got upcoming, let's go ahead and do our awards first, because I promised them that they would be first and we get them in and out. The first thing we want to recognize is our fall scarecrow. That we had some amazing displays this year. Our individual winner lost Earl during the process, but still won their category. So if they could come forward and receive your first place award for individual display this year.
Was that actually for real that Earl got stolen?
Earl really got stolen.
Okay, because I've seen Earl in a dog's mouth and.
Yes, and they
Okay.
reached out, so if you'll come here, and if y'all will just stay up here and we'll get one picture of the journal, if you'll just come up front, then the journal will take it. Yeah. Yeah, great job, guys, it was wonderful. Our business winners were very, very close in votes, but Carl, since he got jumped, and mugged, he got a slight lead after he broke the tie. So, Community First Bank, if you will please step forward and receive your first place award.
Brought us all.
Did you great.
Outstanding.
Congratulations. Yeah, and if y'all will just stay up there too. And then a very, very close second was Maple Bakery and Coffee House with their amazing Harry Potter display. It was phenomenal. If you didn't see it, please go back and look at the pictures. So, yeah, Maple Bakery and Coffee House, did they send someone? They were actually gonna be out of town, so they weren't able to send anybody. So, yeah, that's great. So if we could give these a real big round of applause.
Thank y'all so much. That's what I was thinking. Listen, the scarecrow competition is always a lot of fun, and it's we always have a lot of good laughs out of it. But I don't think any more than this year, especially when the dog went up with Earl in his mouth.
Absolutely. Envision Williamston initiated a program last year. It was Adopt a Shelter. American Legion Post 121 here in Williamston adopted the Veterans Park Bridge. They've done several projects there, but the most needed definitely was the alteration and upfitting of the ramp out there. They joined forces a few weeks back with the Palmetto High Junior ROTC, and 2 weekends ago they rebuilt the ramp. Bigger, better, phenomenal. If you hadn't seen it, please get out there to see it. So we wanted to take just a moment and recognize them. They saved the town thousands of dollars. So if we could take this moment, Mayor.
Yep. And I want to say thank you very much to both these fine organizations. I'm a member of one, and my son was a past member of the other. Oftentimes, people lean on the city to do everything, and that's not always possible. And one of the things that was brought to my attention was the exit off the handicap ramp going into Veterans Park was very short. It was riding. It had a very steep incline. So if you were in a wheelchair, guess what happened? You had a little bit of speed going down here. So it was in our. We wanted to try to make that area better. A lot of people don't know we have a Veterans Park in Williamston. In 1993, I was actually part of building that Veterans Park with Burgess was too. Tony, Larry Arflin, there was a lot of us back there in the old Company C-151 that was a part of it. So it was kind of a special place in my heart too. But we want to make that area more inviting and make it more accessible for the public. And this is one way we were able to do that. But we didn't have a budget to be able to do it. So you guys, like I said, saved us thousands of dollars and come together and did a really fine job of doing a community project. And we greatly appreciate it. On behalf of the town, our residents, and council, thank you very much. All right, we have American Legion, Eddie Morning Post 121. Can we get any Legionnaires come on up, or members of the post?
And I also want to add
buddy. We need to have a business meeting like this. Tony, yeah, see, buddy. Come on around here, Tony, you get a how about back here in the back?
All right.
We standing for one.
You can stand. You can stand. Up here, Tabby.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And from what I hear, the adults couldn't have done it without the youngsters. So, at this time, all members that we have here present, Colonel Freeman, how about high school, junior ROTC, if you will, front and center. Come on, Colonel. Who's your highest ranking cadet that's up here? What's his last name? Rondo. Come on around, come on. Come on, move like you got a purpose.
Squeeze in.
Move like you got a purpose.
Two
Colonel, I
lines,
want you
two
to
lines.
And your rank, Rondo? Cadet Colonel. We got two colonels in the house. We have Cadet Colonel, Rondo here, say that right? And we got the Colonel, Mike Freeman. We have a nice plaque for you. Again, thank you so much for y'all's, participation in helping making this project a reality.
There you go.
Go Army, hook. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you leading our pledge too. Thank y'all for hanging there with us.
Okay, a few more things. We had a ribbon cutting Friday. If you haven't stopped by the Pink Door Boutique right here on Main Street, please do. Young, little 19-year-old business owner.
Our youngest entrepreneur, I believe.
I think so too. Precious, sweet. So go in and buy something. You can afford something in there, but help our business out. Boo in the Park was the best ever. Even said by Diane Lawless, it was the best ever. We did change the course. That was a huge success. We were real stingy with our candy to begin with because there were so many people. Close to the end, we realized that we probably wouldn't run out, so we started giving more, but we didn't give it all out, so we have some left that we can do for the parade as well. But everybody got
We'll
candy.
put it in the back of that truck with the other truckload I got.
There you go. But everybody got candy and everybody was happy. We did do, this year we did the fire pit, and we had a lot of people. We bought stuff for s'mores for the fire pit, and we had some children right here in Williamston that have never made a s'mores before. So next year we'll double or triple the amount of supplies because we ran out of that very quickly. So that was a big success as well.
Roberta, do you have just an idea of what your numbers were for?
Tabitha, we talked about
Yeah,
that when
was
we
it
were there.
1,200 to 1,500?
I thought it was 1,500, yeah.
And
But that was just people getting candy.
Just
So
people
there was
getting
other
candy.
people with them in attendance.
there
Yeah.
was, the way we were able to tell that, I think they were giving out one piece at the time at different stations. And we had
It
one
was
pack.
Oreo.
It was Oreo packs was one of them that we had Oreo cookies in it, little individual packs. And we had certain numbers, so you knew there was 500 in a box or whatever it was, and there were several boxes, so they were kind of keep track.
But not everybody was there. There were the adults and stuff. I would say well over 2,000,
Oh, more than
probably
that.
closer to 3.
Yes.
Yeah, it was probably one of our biggest turnouts, I would think. It was just very well received. And with changing the route of it and going straight down, it went much smoother, it went faster. We didn't allow any games, the spinning wheels and things like that to be in the main traffic. We said anybody who wanted to do that had to be at the end, so it kept the traffic flowing.
Kept it flowing.
The costume contest rather than them signing up. We just allowed them to come get a number, that moved quicker, and went really well. And we had a whole lot of participants on that, hundreds of participants in the different age categories on that as well. Real good boo in the park this year. Gemstone track lighting system. That's the lights for the front of town hall. They were scheduled to begin their installation on Monday, November the 13th. It was gonna take him about 3 days, and he was gonna be complete by November the 16th. However, I spoke with Levi today, the installer, and he said he may be able to begin as early as this Wednesday. And I told him phenomenal, whenever he could get here and get that started. And if he begins Wednesday, we should be done probably by Friday afternoon and have our lights up. We only have 20 more days until Williamston Winter Wonderland. I don't know if y'all counted that or not. We have been aggressively working, and you saw as you were coming in the trees and everything getting started. We have purchased 4 heaters, 4 patio heaters, 2 for the back and 2 for the front. Some of the market is gonna be in the back courtyard and in the back parking lot. So we'll have lights set up there, and we'll have 2 heaters there and 2 out front, unless it's 95 degrees and we're all in shorts, and we'll leave them in the basement.
We're still gonna have snow though regardless.
We're gonna have snow regardless, you're absolutely right. The costume fittings, we bought some new costumes, and I don't know if we've already disclosed that to everybody, but we're gonna start the fittings this week to make sure. We've got a lot of students from the high school. We still need 1 male student, tall, slender, to fill 1 more position, but I've got somebody working on that right now. But we have 1 more costume to fill. We've got ornament spaces that are being sold on the the Santa's Workshop Christmas tree. So if y'all can help get the word out, we're selling the spots for $5 each. You bring your own ornament, a regular size 3.5-inch ornament or smaller. It can be a business, it can be a memorial, it can be a child's name, it can be anything. And with all the proceeds we make from the $5 sales of the spots on the Christmas tree, we're gonna try to put it into something for the spring, whether it's a spring dance or anything else. So try to get the word out so people will get their spot on the Christmas tree. They'll be able to stand at the Santa's Workshop door, and as the tree rotates, they'll be able to look for their ornament on there. And as usual, there's lots and lots and lots of planning and organizing and scratching our heads to how it's all gonna work, but we'll make it all come together. And lastly, Miriam Church from the library wasn't able to be here tonight, but she asked me if I would ask the mayor and council who will be installing their poles for them, for their library down the trail. The reason she wanted to know that was she would like to meet with them next week, or possibly the week after, to go ahead and mark the spots. She thought that they were gonna be in prior to Winter Wonderland, and they were gonna shoot for getting that up before then, but they're not supposed to be here until November the 27th, so it will actually be.
Roberta, just get with our staff. We'll be handling the installation.
Is there a particular person you want me to tell her to call?
Just get with Kevin.
Kevin?
I'm sure he's watching now going, dadgummit. No, we purchased a concrete machine too, a small concrete machine that'll make things a lot easier and faster.
If it's after Winter Wonderland, I want to help with that. I want to be in on that. Before then, I don't have any time. Is there any questions for me about anything that's going on?
No, and members of council, I think y'all are aware of it now. I want to make you aware, I did purchase a bucket truck very inexpensively. It did not run. We've got it running. So for about $5,200, we have a bucket truck we're able to use to install the lights this year, so that'll make things go a heck of a lot faster. And obviously the placement of the Christmas tree. This year, we're planning on putting the Christmas tree in the fountain. We've got a platform. I know that was done years and years ago, but that'll bring it up about 2 more foot higher, and I think it'll be more prominent there. So we're looking forward to that.
We also have 4 20-foot inflatables that will be going in front of Town Hall.
I thought it was 5.
5, yeah, it's 5, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
5.
So that'll be pretty cool this year. We're excited about it. I know there's a lot of work involved, and we appreciate the work you do and town staff does as well, and all the members of Envision Williamston.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Roberta.
All right, we have no old business. We do have a couple of items on new business, and both of these items come at the request of the Planning Commission. Item number 1 is first reading on the ordinance to rezone certain parcels located on Sullivan South Academy, Broad Street. I know, well, Academy and Broad, I know that it was R3, and they're wanting to change it to an institutional. Debbie, can you elaborate a little bit on that? What the reasoning was and the logic behind it?
Yes, sir. You all are going to find there's a couple like this, and the ones that are being rezoned are R3, and they're being requested to be changed to institutional because they're church properties. And we ran into a thing where Calvary Baptist Church is trying to do some work on their property. They own the property, but it's zoned residential and is actually commercial use. So we're requesting that we straighten that out so that they can move forward, and also that others that want to develop on their property or do things on their property based on being a commercial institution, that they can do it
Okay.
without holdup.
All right, so that's a total of 7 TMS numbers, 245-1915-004, 005, 006, and 007, as well as 245-1911-001, 006, and the last one is 245-15-08-002. And again, that comes at the request of the Planning Commission on first reading.
Move to accept.
All right, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander to accept,
A second.
second by Councilor Austin. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's unanimous. Item number 2, first reading on orders to rezone certain parcels located on Belden Drive. Those will be rezoned from R3 to RC, and they're 3 TMS numbers, 245-1901-001, 002, and 004. Debbie, can you elaborate on that one? What's the logic behind that one? It's on Belton Drive.
Was this two?
It's going from R3 single family to RC residential commercial.
I think it was Duke Energy.
Oh, that's right.
That was, one of them is Beyond Care. Beyond Care is a home health care facility. It's residential. It's commercial, not residential, and it would fit in the R3 classification. And should they have to apply for permits or anything to renovate their building, they wouldn't be able to do so until that zoning is corrected. And since it wasn't a fault of their own, that it was blanket zoned to such in 2008 when we initiated this, we're going through and correcting these as part of the comprehensive plan land use map and everything. We're trying to fix it where we won't have these issues.
So that included that business as well as the Duke Energy substation?
As well as Duke Energy substation, same reason.
Okay, so in perspective, you had, everything in that area was blanketed R3 even when there was actually existing business there, being the Duke Energy substation and Beyond Care. And so the Planning Commission has taken a look at it and made the recommendation that we go from R3 on those 3 parcels that I listed earlier to RC, which is residential commercial district.
Yes, sir. And you all will be seeing a lot of these things like this coming up that they're trying to correct as part of this moving forward thing as a future use.
I think a little bit of time helps too, so we don't end up with 50 of them at one time trying to do them. So, thank you so much, Debbie. We appreciate it. All right, this time I'll entertain a motion on item number 2 of new business, an orders to rezone certain parcels of land on Belton Drive.
I make a motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Council Lady Austin,
Second.
second by Councilman Haygood. Any discussion? I'll add, appreciate the work the Planning Commission, Debbie is working on that. All right, this time we'll call a question. All in favor? And we have none opposed. Anybody have anything for the good of the order? We don't have anything we need to talk about in executive session this month. Look forward to seeing everybody out at Winter Wonderland and Deck the Halls and all the stuff we're going to have going on in town over the next month or so. And I hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I don't think we have any more holidays in between. Veterans Day, too. Got Veterans Day coming up, so.
She's already left, but I'd like to thank Sherry Cole for the gift bags that we all
Those
received
were
tonight.
lovely. Those were lovely. Yep, thank you very much to Sherry. Stick around afterwards, we might have to make a picture for her. All right, This time I'll proceed to close. I'll entertain a motion to close.
Make a motion.
Have a motion on the floor by Council Lady Austin,
Second.
second by Councilman Cole. Any discussion on closing? Dot, this time we'll call the question. All in favor? And